if you're not working today, if you're not lead generating today, go 90 days in your calendar and mark a big X because you have no closing that day. And I was like, the pressure, it's going to kill me.
No, 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 no. Like no more apps, no more prompts, no more
Right.
notifications, no more noise.
Part of the whole value proposition for a team leader to a team member is mentorship and ongoing
Yeah.
support and accountability. And this is a really simple, fun way to do that.
I have a special guest for you today, Susie Adamson. She is the co-founder of the Ace Your Day deck. Well, who's the other part of that co? That's me. Her and I designed and developed this deck together to help you agents. The deck itself, think of it as a coach or a program in your pocket. It's an accountability partner that'll get your business to the next level. So if you're newer to the business or you're a plateaued agent or a 1% producer who's definitely been feeling the struggles of the past couple of years and your business is ping-ponging all over the place, then this episode, it's for you. So stay tuned for that. If you want to learn more about the deck, scroll down to the description below and click the link for the 15minutemomentum.com to learn more. And this episode and many of the past episodes are only possible through sponsorship. And I have to thank Andy Bovender for that. He's the sponsor of today's episode. If you have a client who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, the Bovender team are the folks to call. They have done over 5,000 transactions, meaning they've helped more than 5,000 families, which is a beyond staggering number. And so with that, they know what they're doing. Their systems are dialed, their processes are there, and they know the whole area on a hyper local level. So again, if you have somebody who's making that move, call the Bovender team. They'll be taken care of. So with that said, I'm your host, Sean Kunkler, and your referral partner out of San Francisco. I'm excited to talk about the Ace Your Day cards with you today.
Me
The feedback has
too.
been pretty wild. Let's just dive in. What's the number one thing agents are saying about the deck?
Well, one thing we have heard over and over again, which is so encouraging to us, is I knew I should do it. I just needed a push.
Oh
I
my gosh.
knew I
I
should do
feel
it.
like that's the
Something I knew I was supposed to do. So like we're not reinventing
yeah,
anything. We're not telling people anything they don't know. These are
it's true.
fundamental things. These are all the basic stuff. These are just, yeah, getting back to what you know you're supposed to do. But all of us, first of all, either avoid
Yeah.
or we just feel like there are more important things. And there's certainly more enjoyable things to do than the basics of anything.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
every day you wake up and you make the bed boring, but
Yeah.
people say like that is a hallmark of a successful person is doing the basics. And so
It's
that's what we're
totally
getting
true.
people to and taking taking the guesswork out of it.
Yeah. It's interesting. You make two really strong points. Is there's a great quote from Socrates is learning is remembering. And it's so often we
Mm.
know what we're supposed to
Yes.
do. We just don't
Yes.
do. It's like we all know how to eat healthy. We just don't.
Yeah.
We all know going to the gym and being fit gains us a healthier life. We just don't do it. And so in our business, we know
Yeah.
like if I were to call three agents and say, "Hey, let's be really honest. What's the one thing you're not doing that you know you should be?" Everybody's going to have something. And so
Totally.
it's we
I
just
think the
needed
other
that.
yeah, I think there is for sure an element of yes, I knew I needed to do this. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for giving me the push. Thank you for making this
Yeah.
a game and making it fun. And then there's
Yeah.
also one other piece of feedback we've heard again and again is, oh, it was a slightly different way of thinking about doing this thing that I knew I needed to do.
Yeah.
You reframed it in such a way that it made it more interesting or more fun or like gave me another
Yeah.
entry point. So I think that's been a really great insight too.
Well, I think that's what's fascinating about the cards, right? There's 52 of them. And they're broken into four suits. So there's four different sections of the business, but they're done in a novelty way where each card is you're only spending 15 minutes on it. So even if it's an area of your business, it's not pleasurable. We
Yeah.
can all trudge through 15 minutes. Like it's you can do anything for you can run on a treadmill for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna die.
Most
Like
people
it's
can.
most people can. I
I
mean,
feel like
you
we
can
need to back up though, Sean, because I know that
so
listeners
much.
of your podcast know about these cards, but we kind of jumped in and didn't even explain what we're talking about. So maybe we should explain what these cards are.
I agree. Let's start. Let's actually before we explain. Well, let's explain what they are at least high level. How would you explain it? Well, how would you put it into your elevator pitch?
Well, I think it helps to explain that you and I started this project by thinking we were going to write a workbook, create a workbook. Our goal was to give agents a tool to do many of the basic fundamental
Right.
tasks that we knew that agents were just not doing. But if they did, they would for sure see a result from it. And then we thought, no one needs another workbook. Let's figure out how to really make this impactful for people, how to make it fun. And both of
Yeah.
us had thought about experiences in the past where we have had like a either whether it's CrossFit or some other fitness training, we kind of looked at that fitness analogy and what got us motivated. And I
Yeah.
remembered a boot camp that I went to, and when I was going on vacation, he said, just take a deck of cards with you and assign an exercise to
Mm,
each of the cards. And then whatever you pull out, that's what you do for the day. And that's where we took off from that idea and
yeah.
generated 52 cards in 4 different categories by suit of things that agents should be doing every day. And the instructions are to do 2 a day, and that's
Mm.
intentional, 15 minutes a card, and we've been beta testing it and we have gotten some amazing feedback. So apart from what I just mentioned, what else has really stood out to you, Sean?
What a journey. I mean, we've worked on this for over a year, and yeah, it's. I'm reflecting as you were sharing that. I was reflecting on the early part of our journey of like, let's put all this. I've had all these podcasts. You've coached all these amazing agents. We both have collectively. We can build anybody's business, but then how do we
Hmm.
hand it to them, serve it to them, and then we both
Right.
like did the eye roll. "Ugh, who needs another book?"
Right.
Because we're drowning in information and we're
That's right.
starving for action and like
That's it.
information is not hard like
That's right.
YouTube, Google, it's everywhere. AI, it's like it's in front of us. it's
Yeah.
it's it's way more accessible than it's ever been, but now
Yes.
it's not knowing what to do, it's the doing. Like
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, there's a
Yeah.
great Bruce Lee quote: knowing is not enough, we must do. And that's
Yes.
and you and I were like, all right, how do we get people off their butts to do this? Like
Yeah.
we know there's the areas of the business to do, and so through that, it was this evolution to create a program that's easy, simple, accessible, that's applicable to the brand new agent, to the plateaued agent, to the high performer, which is a
From the
really
team leader to the team member to the right. Yes.
everybody,
So
which is an incredibly
everybody
hard.
struggles with that one word that you just mentioned, action, action, taking action. And we just like the
Exactly.
two of us are both obsessed with what are the habits you need to build in order to generate consistent
Yeah.
action. And so that's where
And I
we
think
think this is.
in that, to your point, I think that's where I think both of us lit up is how do we then get that the habit stickiness
Mhm.
in to to grow with more people, right? Because the
Right.
high performers have the habit of doing the mundane and making it fun, right? You look at
Yep.
any pro athlete, the Steph Currys of the
Yes.
world, they shoot with 10,000 free throws a session, a training session. That's 10,000 times, multiple times a week is boring, but they find
Yeah.
joy in that. And so then how do
Yeah.
we develop those habits, those healthy habits for the business in very small, very accessible increments where it's presented in a fun way?
Yeah.
And that's
You
all
know,
of that's
it's
a
you
very
remind
hard.
me, I think it's not coincidental that the Olympics were happening when we were developing this, and I'm sure that that was sort of like a background music to the development of our thinking, right? Because I know
I'm
we talked
sure.
about the Olympics and various things that we were hearing as we were
Yeah.
developing this. Like the meat of when we were really working on this was during the Olympics. So that definitely all of the sort of athletic and habit building and just consistency and like the drudgery and just
Yeah.
repetition that was a big part of what we built into this program.
Yeah, and a shout out to Alyssa Liu, who's a Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area native.
Yes.
And it was funny, there's a really, really good Italian restaurant. She went there, they splashed it on their page, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. So
Amazing.
I agree. I think that definitely, I have a sports and athletic background. It very much played and was inspired with the whole Olympics happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
because all of that is anybody to get to that level. It's practice. It's doing
I
the
think that
same
is really
basic
worth
things.
actually touching on again because maybe the people that are listening are like you, athletes or people who have had like a season or life of discipline, and then people
Mm,
like me who really struggle with any sort of consistent athletic behavior or practice. And that is part of, I think both of us informed this activity and the
yeah,
way that we did this, because I'm always trying to think what would help me develop good habits
yeah,
around this. And I know in my business that my weakness for discipline is compensated by my systems. The
yes.
fact that
Which is
I
your
am
discipline.
able that with that is my strength is
Yeah,
organizing and connectedness and arranging, and that helps me compensate for my discipline issue and my
yeah,
consistency problem. And so I just like I'm always thinking, okay, well, what would I need in order to develop that? How
yeah,
can I
yeah.
make this fun for me? And, so that's, I think, had both of our perspectives of discipline and lack of discipline has helped to fuel what we think will reach people of both kinds.
I'd be willing to bet the hardest part of your day isn't the work. It's the mental load. It's the decision fatigue. It's the shuffling of priorities while you're already playing catch up. You're checking off things from your to do list just as fast as they're getting added. And I'd also be willing to bet some of those meaningful business relationships you've had in the past have begun to fade. Ace Your Day is a physical deck of 52 strategic cards designed to halt fatigue. Refined by real world results, this system replaces chaos of a to do list with a curated set of high impact actions. It's simple: set a timer for 15 minutes, draw a card, and make your move. The deck handles the thinking, you drive the business. Building a secure business should not be a guessing game. Let's stop overthinking the day and trust a system that prioritizes connections and relationships. Let the deck handle the strategy, you focus on the results. Click the link in the description to reclaim your day 15 minutes at a time. I think it's interesting that you bring that up because like you and I, we literally live on different coasts. So like we're so different. We view business different. We view process different. Like we're just
Hmm.
very different in our approach. And I remember before we even started this project, you were maybe on the podcast once or twice. And
Hmm.
I just remember thinking, I don't know a lot about Susie, but I like her. And I remember just like, hey, can we get like time on the calendar? And I was like, I don't know what the project is, but I want to work with you on something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I just know like there's something there. And it's this whole journey's been fascinating because again, we both were approaching it from the same goal, but we have such different ways of looking at the world that I
Yes.
think it was like very balanced in the end because
Yes.
just because of how we perceive it all. And so it's
Yeah.
I think there's something really
And
cool about the deck having that like two people juxtaposed, like solving the same problem. And
definitely.
so the
And I
cards
think
aren't
not only
skewed
do we
one way or
bring
the
the
other.
perspectives of our two different approaches to things and two different experiences, but both of us having had experience with so many different agents. I think we're
Yes.
bringing into this, with you, your podcast, your mastermind groups, and with me and my
Yeah.
coaching and all that. We are really trying to bring to bear what will
Yeah.
reach the broadest, group of agents.
Yeah.
And, as we talked about before,
And for
this
me,
isn't
that
for
was
the
my
new agent or
inspiration.
the seasoned agent or,
The thing that inspired me with the podcast was the reason I started that 2.5 years ago was I just felt like there was so many secrets, meaning
hmm
there's a lot of struggling agents and they just don't have the mentors. They don't have those
yeah,
people to lean on and hear from. And I wanted to sit down and have just candid conversations with agents who were performing and really just sharing like,
yeah,
look, this is how I did it. This was the thing I totally mucked up. Don't do that. I would never do that again. Do this thing. And so with the spirit of wanting to change that, but then simultaneously, which I didn't see happening all at the same, like the season was changing, but we went from having over about 2.5 million agents, this is according to NAR, to down to like 1.4, 1.8, like a ridiculous
oh,
drop
that's
off,
interesting. Hmm,
crazy
it's bound
drop.
to happen. Hmm
And within that, of the 1.4, this is a crazier stat. 80% did zero sales. And
hmm
so to me, they're not stupid. They're smart enough to get the license. The there's a void, there's something missing in their education, their daily
Yeah,
practice, their
yeah,
habits. And that was like the spirit for me behind all of this of like, how can we help them? Because there's a
yeah,
clear problem with a lot of like that's a lot of people who
yeah.
just don't know what to be doing on a consistent basis.
I have so many thoughts based on what you just said. So one of the things I say all the time is like real estate school, all it teaches you is what not to do, right? It teaches you how not to get sued, how not
Get
to be
sued.
put in jail. Yeah. Like how not to break the law. And then you get out and you're like, okay, but then how do I do a transaction? How do I
Yeah.
actually generate a client? Like, what do I do? And so
Yeah.
that is, I
Yeah.
think, for the newer agent, these cards, and we have a new one of our beta testers is a newer agent. And he said, this is so great because every day I just wake up and the cards tell me what to do. And that's exactly right. I'm like, yes,
Exactly.
that's exactly right. So for the
Yeah.
newer agent and for a team leader, and we've always talked about this in the development of this, it's great that a team leader
Yes.
can use these cards. You could do it together. You can hand them to your team
Yeah.
member and you can say every day, just do 2 cards. It's not rocket science. Just pick up the
Yeah.
cards. It'll tell you what to do every day. And so for a newer agent, that's terrific. And then for the
Yeah.
seasoned agent or anyone who's been doing this for a while, it's back to basics, but also it just takes what we've heard again and again is it takes the decision making out of it. I don't have to
Yeah.
spend 15 minutes thinking, what should I do in this 15 minutes? It
Yeah.
gets you right to it. It gives, like, it just removes that period of time when you're just, well, I could work on my CRM, or I could be working on my marketing, or I could be doing my listing presentation, or I should be. There's that piece of
Yeah.
it too. I hear from my coaching clients all the time. Well, I should be doing social media. I should be doing this. I'm like, well, should you? I mean,
Yeah.
should you? There are a lot of things you should be doing, but like, do it. Just do it. Just do something.
It's interesting. My heart goes out to the plateaued agent the most. I think they actually have it the hardest. The new agent is definitely like, don't get me wrong, they're in the trenches. They're struggling.
Mhm.
But the plateaued agent is they've tasted success. They
Yeah.
know what works, but then they got distracted by a shiny object. They stopped doing the thing that works. They started doing this new thing that didn't work. So then they
hmm
tried that other shiny object, which also didn't work. Their business tanked. They went back to
Yep.
the thing that worked. They got super busy. They stopped doing that thing. And it's like
Yeah.
this weird,
Vicious
vicious
cycle.
cycle
Yeah.
of up and down and up and down. And that's these
Yeah.
cards. are
Yeah,
specifically designed to iron that out. And so you don't have
totally.
huge spikes and huge drops and huge spikes and huge seasonality. Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show.
And on that note, I was just on a call with some agents about something completely different. And the one of the agents who's a seasoned agent said, I would love to hear something about like addressing the fact that it is hard every day just to keep going and be motivated, and anyone who's in sales, whether it's real estate
Huh.
or any other kind of sales, knows like it's a grind, right? Like every day, like there are those seasons where it just feels great and it feels natural and it's all coming to you. And then you just have to keep doing it again and again and
Yeah.
again. And I know that there was a point like 7 years in, I really hit that wall. Like, oh my
Did
gosh,
you?
how much longer do I have to do this? It's exhausting. I feel like I can't let foot off the gas ever
Yeah.
because it's just, if you don't, I remember a team leader saying, if you're not working today, if you're not lead generating today, go 90 days in your calendar and mark a big X because you have no closing that day. And I was like, the pressure, it's going to kill me. So I love
Yeah.
the simplicity of these cards where it's like, no, I don't have to go out and do 2 listing presentations today. I just need to, like, spend 15 minutes cleaning up my CRM. I need to
Yeah.
spend 15 minutes just, like, making some progress on my marketing plan or my, whatever event I've had in my head that I haven't made any movement on. I just
Yeah.
need to do a couple things that's gonna move it forward little by little, and then it's gonna lead to something.
Exactly. And that's all it is. It's, if you go into the gym every day, but you only did 15 minutes, at the end of the year, those 15 minutes add up to a lot of
Yep.
hours. And there's no way at the end of the year that you'll get on the scale and it's the same. There's no
Mhm.
way it's going to change. And
Yeah.
and then if you then look at the path of the year, some days were good, you did 30 minutes. Some days weren't so good, so you
Right.
did 5. And that's fine.
Right.
Like it's fine. But
Right.
the point is the habit and the forward progress. And that's
Yeah.
where the ping pong effect of so many agents is happening is we don't structurally have good habits. We're
Yeah.
notorious for the opposite. We're notorious for not having boundaries. We're
Yep.
notorious for working 7 days a week. Some of us 8. we're
Mhm.
we're
Mhm.
just we're notorious for compromising sleep for another transaction, and it's like
Yep.
we can get our lives back literally 15 minutes at a time and
Yes.
chip away at there's we've discovered there's 4 major categories of the business, and
Mhm.
if you work on these in the 90 days and the 100 days and the 2, 3, 4 years, it's going to pay dividends. It
Your
can't
business
not.
will grow. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And to
It-
your
and-
point, even if it doesn't grow, it will be more consistent. It will be less chaotic. It will be less, fewer spikes and valleys and
yeah.
yeah, and you'll feel more productive and you'll feel like you're taking action on things that matter and you're doing the things that
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing. So we love it. We love this for our future users that should. So this is a good time to say you've got the link in the, where are you going to put it?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll actually have a link if somebody wants to learn more about the deck. The link will be in the description below. The website is 15minutemomentum.com, and you can learn more
It's
about it.
spelled out 15, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the actual full word 15. Yeah, and I kind of want to back up a little bit and talk about you because you've been in production and you've seen it from that perspective, and you've
Mhm.
run a team, you've had a team, so you understand what it's like to manage and lead people. And then you moved over to coaching, and
Mm-hmm.
went in and literally lifted the hoods of other agents' businesses and saw what they were doing right and where they can areas to improve. My question is, with those higher producing agents or teams, how would you see, let's say there's a team lead who's just their their team is a revolving door. They're
Mm-hmm.
just, we know those people. They're
Mm-hmm.
constantly losing and gaining people, but the agents are doing well. They're not thriving. They're not growing.
Yeah.
How would you see them leveraging this system to balance and normalize and grow the agents on their team?
Yeah. For sure, at least in two ways. One is particularly for a brand new agent. Instead of you, just yesterday, I was on a call with a networking group within our brokerage, and they said, I have a new agent coming on. How do I onboard them other than letting them just shadow me? And I hear that a lot, right? Like agents hire people, and then their training program is shadow me. Which, like, then it's very scattershot in terms of what they're learning and when, right? Today they could be learning about an open house. Tomorrow they could be it's at a buyer consultation, whatever. There should be
Yeah.
some order and like method to the
Structure.
madness. And so I gave them a
Yeah.
bunch of tools, but this should be part of the program, which is
Mm,
okay, every day I'm going to train you for 15 to 30 minutes or an hour or whatever the case may be, whatever the program is you're going to set up, and then every day you are responsible. This is part of how I'm going to measure your
yeah.
effectiveness on the team and your growth. I'm going to have every single day, you need to log in some sheet, some tracking sheet, even, right? The two cards that you did. And then when we have a check in every month, I'm going to ask you, what did you learn? How did you grow? What habits are you building? What results are you seeing from it? Right? I'd love to
Mm,
do some test of that. And then I think one of the people that I talked to in our beta group yesterday was saying like it would be so great, and we've talked about this too, is like to have sort of a power hour or a power half hour, call it like a Ace Your Day
mhm.
day, once a week or once every other day or whatever. Get together, fan the cards. All right, pick your cards. Or okay, I'm gonna pick a card, and here's what we're gonna do together. Everyone's gonna make
Yeah.
one post, social post, or comment on this or whatever it is. So I think there
Yeah.
are a variety of ways that team leaders can use these cards as a way to deliver on the value for why the team member is going to stay on their team. Part of the whole
Yeah.
value proposition for a team leader to a team member is mentorship and ongoing
Yeah.
support and accountability. And this is a
Yeah.
really simple, fun way to do that.
It's interesting. Now, like when you shared it like that, and I hadn't thought of it like that, and I'm the co-creator of this deck, so it's funny that you just gave me a perspective I didn't have. But I was just thinking with my boys, right? I have a home gym and I work out, and some days like I'll be like, hey, do you mind just coming in and spotting me? Like I don't ask them to work out
Mm-hmm.
with me, and then
Mm-hmm.
inevitably they're like, hey, can I get in a lift? And then we
Yeah.
start like lifting together and shooting the breeze, and it's just fun. Like I have,
Yeah.
and so me doing it inspires them to do it, but I'm not telling them to do it. Like I kind of
Right.
coax them into doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
then the youngest fences. So then I'll be like, hey, let's actually do this workout routine, which will help your shoulder strength. So when you go fencing, you'll be better. He's like, awesome, that's great. And he
Yeah.
gets more engaged. But reflecting that, because I have ADHD, so my whole brain was like doing that while I was listening to you, then opening other tabs in my head. But then I was like, how cool would it be if you were the team lead and I was on your team and you drew a card and you're working on putting birth dates in your CRM and I'm doing it
Yeah.
with you. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not shadowing you per se. I'm doing an activity in parallel with you, but then also I
Totally.
can be like, "Hey Susie, quick question." And you're right there. And so then it's like I can have a quick dialogue with
Yes.
you and get back to what I'm doing. And you're then not setting up a structure of do this. It's it's kind of like two people facing each other where
Yes, I was just gonna
it's like
say it takes it from shadowing to mirroring.
yeah, and but it's also like let's walk side by side and I can put my arm around you and guide you down this
Yes,
dark path
yes,
or
yes.
whatever it may be. And now you're through work ethic, they're shadowing your ethic. So your
Yeah.
ability to sit down and focus for 15 minutes and get through these and do these healthy tasks.
Well, the
But
fun
then
thing is, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say and it's building for like the next generation of your team, the habits.
Yeah,
Like they're all collectively doing
totally.
these same habits together, which is
Well,
the powerful
and
piece.
I guarantee, just like in any situation where the teacher is teaching and then learns in the process, I guarantee that then the team leader is going to be like, oh, I should clean up my CRM. Like, I should spend a minute
100.
because that's what happened to me. I was actually doing these cards and I was like, you know what? My I have some ungrouped contacts I need to be
Oh,
like
are you
cleaning up.
serious?
I seriously cleaned up my CRM for the first time in a
Dude, that's
while.
awesome.
Yes, because of this exercise and because I was like, I gotta practice what I preach and I should be doing some of these tasks. These tasks, I'm still in production and
Yeah, yeah,
e- as a coach too, I have clients and I have like I should be following up with past clients and like I should be doing all this stuff just as much as any agent. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I think I know from practicing them, using them that they're
yeah,
great and they're helpful.
yeah. I mean, one of the cards that just came to mind is audit your like your primary, however you want to frame them as A, B, or C, like your hot,
Hmm.
cold, medium, cold. When was the last time you like somebody audited each of
Yeah,
those and made sure
totally.
that they were actually in the right bucket? And
Yep.
it's like usually you see them and you're like, oh, they're not really that hot anymore, but I'll just leave them there. So
Right.
you're not speaking to them at the right cadence anymore. You're not giving
Right.
them the information that's applicable to them at that speed, whereas they should just be assigned to the right bucket and then you
Yep.
can speak to them at the right cadence. And
Right.
it's in those activities in those tasks, if you're in production, it's like if you have a car, eh, no matter what, you have to have oil changes. Like at some point, it you need to focus on that thing. You can ignore it and you're going to blow up your
Yep.
engine. And it's like you can ignore
Right.
these areas of your business and your CRM is going to be a hot mess and it's not going to be producing for you. And that's the unfortunate byproduct where I do feel that's the plateaued agent is they have their list of shoulds gets longer and longer each day. They
That's
look at
right.
it, they get overwhelmed, they don't do it, and then it gets longer. And you then get caught in that unfortunate cycle.
I was just going to say that that's part of the magic of why we chose these physical cards,
Yeah.
right? Like the fact that, I mean, we had talked about a workbook, we talked about
Yeah.
an app, we talked
Yes.
about all sorts of different mechanisms for delivering this. But there's something really simple and elegant about a deck of physical cards that when
Yes.
people go somewhere, they could just take a couple cards with them and stick them in their wallet. One of our beta testers said that they did that when they went on vacation, or they just took pictures of a couple cards to take with them.
Smart.
And, and then you just like, it is a little bit of chance and a little bit of magic what you pick for the
Yeah.
day, right? Rather than like it's a static thing in a workbook or a list of things that you have to
Yeah.
do. And it gamifies it, which we all want. It makes it really
Yeah.
super um, basic, but also the idea that, and I say this a lot in my coaching, and I think you do too. 15 minutes, anybody can do something for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we often get into these things where people have told us ad nauseum, time blocked for blah, blah, blah. And then I always say time blocking, especially recurring activities, are like those things that you put on your stairs and you just pass by and you ignore until you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
And
You develop
so,
a scotoma. You just stop seeing it.
exactly. Yes. So
Yeah.
this is like, and the deck of cards, we said this from the very beginning. It's something that can sit on your desk, physically
Yes.
remind you to do the thing. And a lot of our testers have said that they have it at their desk. And so
Yeah.
when they're at their desk in the morning, it reminds them to do the cards.
Yeah.
We should
And
talk
I- and
about
I
the big aha that we had too about the afternoon.
oh, I definitely let's talk about that in like really quick in a second. But the other thing that I want to tack on to that of them being a physical deck is we all already have a problem staring at our phones way too
Hmm.
much. And you and I had talked about this. We're like, oh, we can do an app, we could do these reminders. But the problem is how fast our brains are already programmed. This is how fast your brain is programmed. Have you ever done this one? So do try this. It's crazy. And it's kind of scary. Take all the apps on your phone and just rearrange them. And don't just rearrange them. Put them on different pages, move them around. Watch how many times you like unconsciously will open your phone and just hit those ones that you always go to, and like
Yeah.
weird random things will be open because they'll be in the wrong
Hmm.
spots, and you'll
Hmm.
realize how hijacked your whole brain has actually become. And
Yeah.
so that's why we were like, no, 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 no. Like, no more apps, no more prompts, no more
Right.
notifications, no more noise. Like, let's not add to
Yeah.
that. Let's create something, just this other standalone thing
Yeah.
where you look at it, it's on your desk, and you can't get distracted from
Yeah.
looking at this one thing.
I wonder if that's too
Um,
because we're both Gen X and we're like, let's get back to paper.
I think so. I know you're a huge advocate of have all your to-dos in one list.
Yes. Yes.
I'm a notebook. Like I have a notebook that's always on my desk, and
Yeah.
it's tattered, it's worn, but I have to like there's for me there's a ritual and a magic to writing things by hand.
Yes.
I just have to.
Yes. There are a lot of people
Um,
that way for sure.
but let's talk about the aha because the
Yes.
to kind of give people some more context. So Susie and I worked a good year. Let's call it a year on this whole deck. What we thought was good, but then we had to
Hmm.
actually like get it out into the hands of newer producing agents to agents over 20 years in the business
Yep.
who have
Hmm.
a really amazing record in the top 1%. So there's a huge swath of agents who looked at
Hmm.
it. But then you've been taking lead on getting feedback and
Hmm.
having agents use the cards daily, giving you feedback. You've been collecting that,
Hmm.
and then you had interviews, actual
Hmm.
conversations, talking about them.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear, well, one, the aha, but I would also love to hear some of the other magic moments where you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
I didn't even realize like that was being perceived or used like that or enjoyed like that or whatever. I'm just super curious because I haven't
Yeah.
fully got caught up to speed on what those conversations have been.
Yeah. So, as you said, we have gotten the daily feedback in survey form. And so we look at those every day. We see what cards people are using, what's working for them, where they're getting stuck, and we're making improvements even as we go. And then these conversations that we've been having, I think one of the things that really got affirmed for me, I am obsessed with trying to help people make decisions better. That's the whole like sort of overarching premise of my coaching is
Hmm,
systems are meant to help you make decisions better with more clarity and more efficiency. And so you're
interesting.
not asking yourself all day long. I have said from the very beginning of my coaching journey, two of the areas where people experience most stress, especially agents, is asking themselves all day long, what should I do next? And
Yes.
what am I forgetting? And these cards
The
actually
second one
are
is maddening.
it's how we think. What am I doing? What am I forgetting? What am I doing? What am I forgetting? It's so
Yeah.
stressful. That's why the
Yes. Yeah.
task list, that's why checklists, that's why templates, all of those things help mitigate that. These cards are a really big part of that. And it was very affirming to me when time and again our beta testers said, what I love about this is it takes the decision making out of the equation. I
Mm,
pick up the card, it tells me what to do, just like a personal trainer. I go to the gym. I
yeah.
don't like the trainer doesn't say, "What do you want to do today?" The trainer says, "Here's the workout for the day. You've got 10 burpees, go. Next
I'm laughing
is,
because if a trainer,
right?
if, I'm laughing because if my trainer is like, "What do you feel like doing today?" Oh, let's go get some ice cream.
Right. Nothing. Nothing is
Nothing.
always going to be the answer. The answer is I want to go back to sleep. So I love this idea that what the cards do. And I think we kind of, I mean, we knew that, but we also just, again, it's just great when that is the thing that they got out of it is that I
Yeah,
love the fact that I pick up the cards and it tells me what to do. It takes the decision making out of it because we're so tired of making decisions. And then the other huge aha that we had yesterday was our good friend Amy O'Neill down in Florida, which is one of our beta testers. She said, "What I love about it," and we had originally sort of suggested to people that they should do it in the morning,
yeah,
thinking that like that's when people are fresh, that's when people do their like sort of CEO time or their like work in their business, not on their business. And she said, "I like to do it in the afternoon because I find that it's a great brain break." And I was like, "Oh, that's so good." That's so good. And then
mm,
every call after that, I would say to people, "What do you think about this idea that it's a great brain break?" And they're like, "Yes." Because when you're
yeah,
in the afternoon and you hit that crash and you're like, "I know I can't stop working right now. I want to do something productive, but I don't want to take on a big task or like, I don't know what to do next." You pick up a card and it tells you what to do. And it's usually something pretty simple. It's
yeah,
not rocket science and it's not heavy lifting. It's just 15 minutes of something. And so it's like a great way to feel like you're still being productive, but you're
yeah.
not having to like do a heavy lifting. So I just think that that was a great reframe of what we had intended.
It's interesting because I do remember as we were, again, we were taking all of this from our own personal perspectives. And then I would ask, like, I have the inner circle group, which is primarily comprised of agents who've been on this podcast. And I asked them, hey, what is your most productive time? Like, if you were to give me 1 or 2 hours in your day, what is
Hmm.
it? And the bulk, the 9 to 10 a.m. was like the sweet spot. Like the
Hmm.
90% of the most prolific agents are most productive in that time slot. So that's where I
Hmm.
remember talking to you about it and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we should encourage people to do it in the morning." And so it was a
Hmm.
fascinating aha moment to hear
Yeah.
that of the latter
Yeah.
part of the day. And I love that it was a completely different way to look at it
Yeah.
than the original way that you and I had. But
Yeah.
the important part is the actual habit and the activity. Is there an example of a card that when you're like mentally fatigued, but it's telling you what to do? Is there a card that comes to mind that kind of fits that bill really well?
I think I heard things like one of the agents, Tiffany, she said the cards that she liked particularly were the ones that gave her instant gratification. Because we have cards in there that
Mm,
are action cards, and then there are ones that are more like planning cards or like more thoughtful cards.
yeah,
And so I think in the afternoon, when you just need a little hit of dopamine, those action cards, like,
it's
right, just
true.
like post a comment on one of your, the people that you are connected with on their social media, not about real estate. Um,
Yeah,
or even simply like go through your task list and eliminate some things that you don't need to
yeah,
do, you know,
yeah.
look at your schedule and figure out what you can say no to next week. That's
Yeah, one
something,
of them is
that
clean and
people don't do.
organize your desk.
Yes.
Like just clean up
Right.
and organize. Like it's like for me, it's like it usually has to become like a total fiasco, and then I get to the point where I'm like, I just got to do it. But if
And,
I'm like told to
and
do it,
that's exactly right. And I think Betty said that yesterday. She said she cleaned up her office and she kind of felt almost guilty about it. Like that wasn't a productive enough thing to do, you know? And she said, like, the cards actually gave her permission to do these basic things that maybe otherwise she wouldn't have
yeah,
felt like counted.
Yeah.
as good work. Do you know?
Yeah. And again, I want to kind of step back. And so you and I, between my podcast, I think I'm about 160 interviews in, roughly. And then with you have a coaching business where you
Mhm.
help agents build out their systems and their
Mhm.
processes. And so you have
Mhm.
very intimate conversations about the areas where they're struggling. And
Yeah.
so each of these 52 are specifically designed to move your business forward. Every single one of them. There's no, like you and I were very adamant, there's no fluff card. Like
Yeah.
if there's a fluff card, we're getting rid of it. And then the other side, if it's too complex, too overwhelming, that it's not going to actually get executed on, get rid of that. And then the other questions that you and I had to solve were, of these 52, will this activity expire? Will you run out of this
Mhm.
thing? And so you can't
Yes.
because you have to be able to redo it. Is it going to be applicable for somebody brand new and producing 20 million annually? So now that's another problem to solve. And so you and I really had to come up with 52 of these. It's really, really
Yeah.
not easy. And it
Yeah.
took us a lot of time and tweaking. And to kind of overlay that, a traditional deck of cards, you have the hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. And so what you and I did was we looked at those and how do those relate to business or business activities. And so the hearts is the connection and care. It's how do these relationships build for our business in the future. The clubs is our marketing and outreach. How do these small, consistent marketing tasks build to ultimately leads? And then diamonds is how do we deepen these relationships?
Mhm.
And then that's ultimately spending time in the CRM, which agents are notoriously for not doing. And this
Mhm.
is not everybody. This is the most, not all.
Mhm.
And we just don't. We move too fast is the simple
It's
answer.
boring too.
And it's boring. But you can do 15 minutes. Like if you
Yes.
can carve out 15 minutes and update a conversation so your CRM is up to
Yeah.
compliance, right? And then the spades. The spades is now your future. It's growth and process. And then it's the small, simple, practical ways that you can invest in your business in the future. And so within that, those 52 are then organized under one of those four umbrellas. And so it's all been highly strategically and thought about for
Yeah.
all different people.
Yes. And I think at the end of it too, what I love and I think is so satisfying is that it's enjoyable for
Yeah.
people. You know, we want to like make sure that what we put out into the world delivers greater measures of joy and not just more
Well, let me ask you
work and
this.
not more
I'm curious.
chores.
Yeah, it should not be. It shouldn't feel like a chore. That was the opposite of the goal. I'm
Yes.
curious. Out of the agents that you've interviewed, has anybody said they're going to like cease using them after it's done, or has
No.
everybody said they're going to
No,
continue?
not a one, but what we have learned and what we
Yeah,
had talked about from the beginning and what we're actually going to deliver more than we did during the beta. I think in the beta test, we were testing the product. And you
yeah,
and
yeah,
I have talked a lot about lately about making sure that it is a program, not just a product. That the cards are a
yeah,
vehicle to help you create greater habits. And what else do we need to do beyond that? So, will these people in the beta test continue? I mean, a big part of why they participated and built up this habit was because they knew they had to report to us. And so that kept them motivated. But what are we going to do to make sure that they continue to be motivated? And then when people do buy these cards, how we're going to build that in? Well, we're going to have a series of reminders and notifications and just hints
yeah,
like tips along the way. Hey, did you think
yeah,
about doing this as a brain break? Did you think about, what cards are you using that are making sure that you're getting some gratification? Or, how are you
mm,
sharing your
mm,
success
mm,
with people? And so a regular cadence of encouragement, of
mm,
ideas, of just like ways for them to have greater community around it. We've talked about that, right? Like, how can
Yeah.
we encourage community that is organic? And then also, how can we create community for people so that they can have some support around making sure that they keep up the habit?
Yeah. I'm I'm actually really curious to just hear in the future how people are doing that because I would imagine that I like this is what I would imagine would happen is somebody gets the deck, it's on their desk, their colleague comes over and is like, that's really cool. They somehow form an accountability group, start meeting every like Monday and Wednesday, and then doing a series of cards. And then that group grows and more people start getting involved. And now you have like a mini group within your office of
Yeah,
all independent agents, not on the same team, but you're all now collaborating and talking about your wins and successes of just doing these
right,
healthy habits on a regular basis.
right,
Um, that's what I'm excited to see how all of this evolves
for
um,
sure.
as you and I go down this path. And I'm really excited because the beta test really helped us figure out how to make this even better for the
Yeah,
actual the real release of the product.
yeah,
Which I'm super excited about because
me
I
too.
just feel like it's so simple and easy to use, but it's an actual program that it's it sounds weird, but it's almost like it's like a coach or a an
Trainer,
accountability
we
partner
talked
in a
about. Yeah,
box,
yeah,
like
yeah,
on your desk or with you at any time, and
yep,
it's like a one time investment, and then now it's you have like this person following you, like,
yep,
hey,
yep.
invest 15 minutes.
That's right. And, again, whether you're new, whether you're seasoned, whether you're a team lead, whether you're a solo agent, whether you're producing, 10,000 a year to, a
Yeah,
million, 100 million a year, like, you cannot, it does, like, this is going to help. This is going to be something that's going to be a fun part of your day.
yeah, and that's what I think at the end of the day, the I would say for me personally, the thing I'm looking forward most to is those and we've already gotten a couple of, hey, the cards helped me get a conversation I normally wouldn't have had,
Oh,
or this
yes.
opportunity already presented itself. Like I'm super
That's right.
excited to hear about like, oh, I got this
All the
my first
wins.
listing
Yep.
because of it, or whatever it may be. The wins, like
Definitely.
yeah, I feel it's probably my age, but I feel excited when other people win around me rather than me just
Yeah.
winning, if that makes sense.
Maybe that should be like on the box or something, Sean, when we say, the deck of cards are the game at which everyone wins. Everyone's a winner when you play these cards.
And is that I feel like that's like a Milton Bradley.
Yeah, yeah. I think we should
There's
put
like
it in like really cheesy 70s font, like everyone's a winner.
everyone's a winner.
That's
Isn't
right.
that the game of life? The game of life.
Oh, maybe I love that game. This
I
little
did. I
spinning
played it a
wheel.
lot as a kid with my
Yes.
sisters. Oh my gosh, lots of fights over Monopoly too. Let me tell you,
Monopoly just takes too long.
it always does. That was
Always
always
takes too
like
long.
everybody. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, it's gonna take way too long. Um,
Yes.
Susie, this was super fun, and I thank you for
Always.
working for taking this whole journey with me and doing all of this. We've spent so much time together, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I will shout out that you are a rare person who, like, everybody has ideas, but there are people, specific people, and a type, there must be like some sort of type of person and like strength that is a generator, like a activator. I think that the word is
Oh,
activator. If you talk to Kelly Parker, I wonder if you're an activator because I'm not. I'm a great editor. I'm a great like idea
uh,
maker, but you said, let's do this. I was like, oh, great. A book was on my list. Let's do it. And then you kept us going. And so I give you a lot of credit for that.
thank you. I Kelly promised me she would read my I don't know what it's
Your
called. There's a
human
word
design.
human design. That's it. and I
Yeah.
haven't done it with her yet, and I'm actually really curious.
You need
It's funny.
to.
I
It's
think of
so
her.
interesting.
This sounds really weird, but I think of her almost every day on my coffee table downstairs. I always grab a coffee and sit down, and my dog will always hop up and sit next to me. But she gave me a book on denim, and it sits on my coffee table, and I
Oh,
literally
wow.
see it every day. And so it always it's
Yeah,
like a nice gentle reminder of her. So I need to ping her
that's awesome.
and get
You
on her
do. You
calendar to
really
do
need to
that.
do it. I am not a woo woo person, and I kind of thought of it initially as a woo woo thing, not to like go off into
Yeah.
an advertisement for Kelly, but I'm always willing to like promote her because she's amazing. Um,
Oh, she's
but
incredible.
yeah,
She's so
I
cool.
did this session with her, clarity call, I think she calls it, and
Yeah.
it just really like it. I found it very grounded, and I found it very like um thought it was very accurate. I thought it was really insightful. It gave me
Huh.
permission to be more of what naturally felt I was doing anyway. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I found it really instructive. You should do it.
That's
Everyone should
fascinating.
do
I
it.
do need to do it. It's funny that you say that about me is, and I always have to be very careful about the projects I get excited about because
Yeah.
once I like, it's really strange, but internally, I know when something clicks. Like if I feel it resonates differently in my body, like in my gut,
Hmm.
and then the problem becomes I become hyper focused until I get it
Yes.
done, and
Yes.
I can't not eat, sleep, and drink until that thing's done. Like
Hmm.
it's bad,
I see that.
but it's good. It's like really
But I
good,
think
but it's also really
this is
bad.
where this is like very good also for this podcast is to like encourage people to find a partner or find a group, find people to balance you in your strengths and weaknesses, right? Like
Yes.
you're such a great idea generator. And sometimes during our calls, you'd be like, and what about this? And what about this? And like, what about this? And it'd be like, okay, Sean, let's like finish this thing first and then we can move on to the next thing. And so I think that's where some of my strengths of like
Yeah.
arranging were helpful for you and just to say, okay, let's flesh this out and
Yeah.
then like and see it to some conclusion and the definitely the pieces, our strengths came together beautifully.
And I would agree, and I think that's the power in these cards too. Is I think there is going to be a magic that'll happen when people do them in small
Do it
groups,
together.
like a
Agree.
little small accountability group, because one person's going to want to go off the rails and change them and make all these tweaks,
Yep.
and the other person's going to be like, "Hey, let's just stick to plan and
Yep.
let's not do 85 minutes on this, but let's just do the 15." And I feel like the balance, that
That's right.
dynamic, or the team lead doing it as a management piece, I feel like, especially with what you shared and knowing me and seeing how you and I work together, I feel like that's going to be a powerful thing to help people keep this going in the
Agree.
right direction.
Agree. I hope we can cultivate that moving forward for sure.
I think so. It's things are in the works, and there's more
Yeah.
exciting stuff coming. So,
Yes.
Susie, this
You've
was
always
fun.
got ideas.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I do.
It can be a problem.
I'm working on it.
Yep.
You know.
It's all good. So good.
Susie, this was so fun. It was really fun to just chat with you about the cards and not like
Yeah.
us executing and building and
Yeah.
direction, but like actually just talking about our experience. So thank
I
you.
know. Yay for us. We should be proud.
And if you're listening, if you scroll down to the description below, you can click on the link. There's a little quick sign up sheet there, and we'll get you information on that. So that, my
Yeah, and
friend,
we are hoping what in summer. The next drop will be in the summer.
I believe we're doing a drop in. Yeah, let's keep it open, but I would say a summer drop.
Yep.
Um,
That's why I
we'll
didn't
leave it
name
at
a
that.
month. I said summer.
Smart play. I appreciate that.
Yes. All right.
And that's a wrap.
Bye.